Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaba. A warm welcome to Muslima Insight, your program for moral regeneration and spiritual reformation to unite the Ummah. Today in Muslima Insight, we are taking on a topic that is very pertinent and very particular and very sensitive, and we are going to look at understanding polygamy. And with me in studio, I've got a familiar face right here from ITV. A warm welcome and assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Salama.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and ahlan wa sahlan.
Jazakallah for joining us, Sheikh. Sheikh, I would like for us to perhaps start off, if you can share with us which of the verses of the Holy Quran refers us to polygamy.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا ونبينا محمد بن عبد الله الصادق الأمين. First of all, we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the understanding of our deen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to practice the shariat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First of all, before we mention the proof and the evidence from the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to remind our viewers that there are two noors comes to our life. Physical noors and spiritual nur. When we talk about physical nurs, we talk about the moon, the sun, and that electricity here around us. The natural nur from Allah, the moon and the sun, it's overpowered the nur of the made by human being. We do not on our light on a daylight because it sounds funny. Why? Because nurun ala nur. The light of the sun is overpowered. We accept your nur, but we need the nur of Allah. Leave that physical nur and we'll go for spiritual nur. Custom, culture, science, education, thought, intelligence, it's a nur. Knowledge is light. But Quran al-Kareem is the nur of Allah. So when the Quran al-Kareem comes, we have to switch our nur and we use the nur, the natural nur, the pure nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we're discussing that sensitive issue about the polygamy, we're discussing the matter of our life, deen, sharia. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentioned in Quran Kareem that there is permission for the man to marry. And when we talk about something it's called mubah, it's talking about the opening door from Allah to solve problem of the ummah, not to put the ummah in a problem. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإن خفتم ألا تقسطوا في اليتامى فانكحوا ما طاب لكم من النساء مثنى وثلاث ورباع. That is Surah An-Nisa, verse number 3. So there is a words for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mentioned in Surah, it's called Surah An-Nisa, because Allah tabarak wa ta'ala knows by His knowledge and His mercy that it will be a topic, it will be an issue in the life of the Muslim. So there is ayah in Quran al-Kareem directing me and you, but does not force me and you to marry one or two or three or four. Brother and sister in Islam, polygamy permitted in Islam. But there is no forcement even for the first wife to marry her, or there is no forcement in marriage. It is the personal choice and option. We ask Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, may Allah grant us understanding of the Quran al-Kareem.
Jazakallah, Shaykh. Just for the sake of our non-Muslim viewers, I'm just going to read the verse in English. If ye fear that ye shall not be able to deal justly with the orphans, marry women of your choice, 2, 3, or 4. But if ye fear ye shall not be able to deal justly with them, the verse carries on, and then it ends up, then only one. And in brackets, preventing yourself from doing injustice. So, Sheikh, I want to understand from your side, as a layperson, I see three aspects within this verse. In the first, that it speaks of the orphans, then it speaks also of women of your choice, so it makes it more of an open platform. Then, of course, there's the condition that if you want to take more than one wife, the condition is to be just. If you cannot be just, or you fear you cannot be just, the order is to marry only one. The third aspect for me is the historical context, which I would like to delve in a little bit further with with Sheikh. Is are we correct as readers when we read the English as laypersons?
No, we have, in that specific verses, we have something that's called Asbab al-Nuzul, the reason of the revelation of these verses. And there was an incident behind it. One man, in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, had an orphan girl, pretty, and she had a garden. And then that man, with his intention, evil intention, he made a plan to marry this girl with no dowry, with no spending, with no nafaqah, and he was targeting her property and herself. Often, when we see the first portion of the ayah talking about orphan, the secrecy of the orphan, the money of the orphan, to be unjust in the orphan, this is a major sin in Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that person that he's eating in his stomach a fire. Allah tabarak wa ta'ala did direct that person, do not marry this girl because it's going to be a suspected marriage. There's not a purely for the sake of Allah, and go to marry another one. But if you look at why Allah tabarak wa ta'ala put the orphan with that second wife, the same secrecy, the same responsibility, the same fear, the same punishment. So as you abuse the orphan, exactly you will get the same punishment if you abuse the first wife or the second wife. Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, as Aisha radiallahu anha narrated, that this is a personal incident, happened to one person, that he said, be careful to touch the money of the orphan, the property of the orphan. So many people, they take care of them, they become a guardian, whatever. But what about if the girl is under you and he want to marry her, or you want to take without mahar and want to misuse the property of that person? Move from the orphan, directing him to the second wife. Second wife, go the same second. I'm talking about the marriage. Mathna wa thulath wa ruba'. When we talk about 2, 3, 4, the ulama, when they talk about that, they give us a wonderful thing. They said, when you are fair with the first one, you can upgrade yourself with the second one. But if you are failure with the first one, you can't fail on the grade 1 and you study for the grade 2. And then if you fail on the grade 2, you can't go for the grade 3. My friend, it doesn't make sense. If you are failure with the first wife, so sorry, you don't talk about the second one. Inshallah, when you fulfill the right and you got qawama, it's called authority. When you become a man, a real person who fear Allah on the first one, so inshallah, Allah update you with the second one. And inshallah, when you are good, also with the 2, you go for the 3rd and 4th. But unfortunately, people start from the grade 4 and they want to go back for the grade 1. Sisters in Islam, brother in Islam, there is a big difference between a jealousy of the woman, the concept on the society, and the way you think about it, and Sharia. I'm talking to the first wife because we're having a 3 portion now. As we said before that we come to the studio, we have the victim one, the first one, the miskin one, the one who been oppressed, as we think. And then we have the naughty one, the one who hijacked the husband, the one who attacked the family, the one to destroy the family. And we have one uncle, one to misuse the Sunnah and Sharia. So now, if I am talking now on the TV program and I want to just make it in neutral, I have to send my message to the 3, the first wife and the second one, and that man who want to marry. There is a big difference between something that's called mubah, permitted, and wajib, farad. I opened this door, but I never said to anyone, go out or come in. I opened the door, it means I don't mind that you go out, but be careful, because there is a very heavy rain outside, and also there is a dog will bite you, and you have to be very careful. Who sent you outside? You with your own will, you use my opening door with your own will, and you went and to marry the second one. So don't come back to me and say the dog bite me, I was falling there, it was raining, I feel cold, because you went there. Allah tabarak wa ta'ala made it mubah. I'm saying that from the Islamic point of view. What is the meaning of mubah? Allah permitted, but He did not push you or push him. The proof of that, brother and sister in Islam, that when it went well, everyone liked it. When it went wrong, become a bad picture and an ugly action in Islam, and that is the main shooting against Islam when the non-Muslim come and misuse that incident or that social or the failure of the person who went out of the door.
Sheikh, to come back to the question is, what was the purpose at the time historically considered when Surah An-Nisa verse 3 was revealed? What was happening? Because we learned that the verse was revealed just after that.
Yes, because I said Quran al-Kareem came gradually. It came, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought the Quran, it's called Tanzil. For each and every incident, there is a solution come. If you look at the Torah and Injil, it came one time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought that Quran here gradually for the incident. I said for this, in Surah An-Nisa, there's so many ahkam regarding the women. We have about 8 surah discussing the women's matter. There's no surah for men. There's surah for women. In that specific verse, I said, in the lifetime of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was one man, one to marry an orphan. And then the one Sahabi, he had about more than 10 wives. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after this verse come, and he said, no, hold for and release the rest. So it was a reason for that orphan girl and to reduce and to limit that polygamy which was before Islam. So Islam did not come with polygamy. It was there and Islam adjusted exactly like a slavery. Slavery was there and Islam came and limited.
Jazakallah, Sheikh. It is time for us to go to a short break. Don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A warm welcome back to Muslima Insight. Sheikh, before the break, we were discussing the context within when Surah An-Nisa verse 3 was revealed. And I know in my research, I did not come across this because obviously I'm not a scholar and I don't have access to these books. The Quran mentions to us that the Battle of Uhud had taken place and that this verse was revealed directly after that. And surely there was dismal situation and circumstances in which the women, the widows and the orphans also found themselves. And taking it a little bit further, we notice in the Quran, the same surah, verse 129, what had changed from the time that verse number 3 was in fact revealed, where there was a great need, later than 129, what shifted, what changed? In
the early age of Islam, the main concern for the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba was jihad, spreading Islam. So the main priority for the Muslim is the word of Allah, and this is the main thing. Me and you, we live here to spread the kalima of Allah. So in a period time of Khadija radiallahu anha for so many years, and after Khadija radiallahu anha, it was the foundation of Islam. It's call it the da'wah time. So that shows us that nikah is there to marry the second and third, but we have our own priority, we have our own concern. According to the tartib and the ordering of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they changed it to us. Muslimin move from Mecca, no more being oppressed, and then there's little bit of ease, there's little bit of freedom, there's a number quite, so now we can go for that, solving the social problem. So you're asking me now, because on that time, we need to solve the social problem. So Quran came according to the need of the society, the need of the Muslim, or the need of the human being. I'd like to say something, that polygamy is not came with Islam. It was there. Nabi Sulaiman got 1,000. Sure. Nabi Dawood say 69 or something. Nabi Jesus is going to come and marry. So that one is not a Muhammadian act. I just want to tell our sisters, we never come with it. And Nabi Yaqub had 4. So if you look at the history of that, polygamy there, Islam came and limited. They call it in Arabic, addada and haddada. So Islam came to limit it. As before the break, I was talking about slavery. They say Muslim brought the slavery. No, the slavery was Islam came to release the slaves, and it was kafara, the repenting, you make kafara, if you have this, you release, fakku raqaba, like this. So Islam came to release, did not come with the slavery. So as I said, the need of polygamy is there, and I want to tell you and all the viewers, it's a personal decision. There's no imam can climb on the minbar and say, oh, Muslim Ummah, all the Musalli in front of me, go and marry the second one. And do not ask the man why. Because you cannot ask me about my need. It's a confidential thing. It's a need. And it doesn't mean the first wife is not good. It doesn't mean. Because men can love 2 women. I'm telling you, according to many research, as we love so many daughters, as we love so many sons, and we love the Ummah, we can love two women, but the women cannot love. Plus love two men. Plus, one thing left, that there's no blessing of the first wife to agree and to say, Bismillah, come. This is only Jannah when she introduced Hur al-Ain in hundreds number to the husband, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Azwajum mutahhara. Allah will took that clot, will took that dirt from her heart, that jealous of the heart, because the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam could not take it. It was heavy, it was heavy. But let me talk to our sisters. There is a big difference between a jealousy woman and rejecting Sharia. You cannot use your jealousy and your anger and that type of women feeling to reject the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَأَنْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُمْ. It is permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Sheikh, just to come back to verse 129, Allah clearly says there that you will never be able to be just, even if it's your most ardent desire. Now, what do we read in that? Do you think it is an encouragement? Because obviously this verse was revealed at a later stage. Is Allah encouraging the men, or is it more of a discouragement and a cautioning?
No, it's not encouragement, it's not discouragement, it's precaution.
Precaution.
Yes, it is a precaution. Why? Because don't go to it blindly. And if you look at the verse, it says, in khiftum. When we talk about khiftum, if you thought, because there is a big difference between thinking that I'm going to do it and when you are on the ground. Sometimes you want to swim and say, I will do that one. When you are there on the water, is something else. There is a difference between niyat and reality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about the friction between husband and wife. He said for the family around the husband, in khiftum, if you notice, if you can see little bit of the crack there on a relationship, so start to maintain it. So before you make that decision, you know your capability. That's why I said it's a personal thing. You cannot measure or match yourself with another case, one man married 2 or 3, because it is a personal thing. Now, that fear of justice, we got emotional justice and we got materialistic justice. The ulama and the mufti, they left that emotional because impossible to be fair with that love and that emotional thing. Why? Because we cannot even give it to our own children, right? To have a blessing of the first wife, that is impossible. Naturally, biologically, fitra is impossible, because the wife, she's jealous of his mother. So she doesn't want the mother to take her son to her home or to take the money of the son. Imagine another woman is going to share the love with that. That is obvious and natural. What I'm trying to say, that fear, it's called that person, the scale in you to see, can I jump that well or not? Can I cross that road or not? That expectation, it's a personal thing. So the fear. Justice called materialistic justice, which is very heavy. It's very heavy.
Sheikh, do you think that women should be forced under duress? Like you've said, it's very much against. We're talking more about the South African landscape. Let's narrow it down. Would you say women in general should then be forced under duress to accept it? Doesn't she have a right to dignity and respect?
Yes. First of all, when we talk about the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no personal opinion or there's no emotional opinion. Like for women cannot be a judge. So Sharia said women cannot be a judge. Why?
Because of emotion.
Physically, emotionally, she won't sentence so many people to death penalty like this. Allah understood. It's not a faulty on a woman. She's like that. And she must be like that. Sensitive, emotional. She got so many kindness and compassion. It's like that. So when we say about the women can be forced or accept, before marriage, she got full right to hold her husband. But once he married the second one is his wife. He's not a girlfriend, is not invaders, is not the enemy.
But before they get married, let us be clear.
Yeah.
If he's having an extramarital affair, is that how it should be treated? Or like Sheikh has mentioned, if a relationship comes with starting with cracks, because being a couples therapist, we see a repeated pattern sort of from the 7th to any time between 7 and 14 years of marriage. That's when a couple goes into the power struggle and the in love phase is over and the personality starts to come out. Instead of then going for couples therapy, that's when those are different things that happens at that time. Either there's suicide, alcohol, drugs, or womanizing and affairs. So Does it make it right?
No. That's why we said the scale, the expectation, in khiftum, if you have fear, you know your wife, you know the nature of your wife, you know the response and reaction of your wife. So that is also we have to put in under consideration. But let me tell you, those who accepted the second wife, I'm talking about the first wife, she had iman and yaqeen sharia more than the need of herself and that her honor and dignity, because dignity is not because of that. You can be a first wife, second wife with your own dignity, because nothing to do with dignity and honor. It is a person, and I think it is the environment who showed that women that some type of bitterness and sometimes of sorrow and condolences. That it is in the hand of the man who decided to marry. Before I decide to go to marry, I have to work out something. I look at my wife's reaction, I look at the feeling of my wife, and then I said, no, if this lady like that, she will never come right, and then the scale of justice will fall. So I have a fear. In khiftum, I'm scared. Shukran, I'm savior on this side. I will never go further. As I said many times, it is a personal, individual decision. It's not a mass fatwa and a mass decision for the one alim to can encourage the ummah. It is a personal decision.
Jazakallah, Sheikh. On that note, it's time for us to go to a break. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A warm welcome back to Muslima Insight. Sheikh, before the break, you were starting to touch on the different type of personalities. If a man asserts from the beginning that his wife is not the type that he should rather than stay safe and be with his one wife, can you share with us from a historical perspective with regards to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's own daughter, Bibi Fatima radiallahu anha?
When we talk about the Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam relationship with his wife and his daughters, Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, all his offspring and his grandchildren come from Fatima radiallahu anha. So it's very special. Number two, Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib wanted to get another wife. Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam refused. Even the father of that girl came to ask permission for Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, no, 3 no's. So the scholars of Islam, they said, how come Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stopped that person from the marriage? We did not know till the scholars of Islam told us that this girl, the second one, the future wife of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, she's not equal to the dignity of Fatima. She's a daughter of the idol worshipper. She's going to be a second wife for the daughter of a prophet of Allah and messenger of Allah. That shows that you cannot go for anyone. Men married a decent woman, honorable women, good reputation, Hafiz al-Quran, got good children, good reputation, and he brought a prostitute woman to the house and said, this Sharia give me that. That is not, because this is not a dini matter. Al-khabithuna lil-khabithat, wat-tayyibuna lil-tayyibat. And we do see in our life that the second wife, I'm very sorry to say like that, not all of them, comes because of lust and desire and love. It was not a wise and sensible marriage. Out of anger, he wanted to punish his first wife. He wanted to put the second wife in pain. He was threatening her from the first month of marriage. So it's not for, like talaq, divorce. Our divorce is not Islamic. I divorced my wife to struggle. Allah permit the divorce to solve the problem, not to put your wife on a problem or to put the husband on a problem. Allah permit the second wife or the second marriage to solve the problem. And we say to the women, you rather choose to get divorced or to stay as a second wife, because many women, like Sayyidah Sauda, the wife of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, she didn't want a man for that reason. She want a shelter. She want a cover, because Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Inna ar-rajula labid'atun min al-mar'a." Indeed, the man a piece of the woman. So it's not about sexuality. It's not about that. What we think, it is a shelter and safety. That's why Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam refused, because that girl, it won't be equal. So it won't be a good stepmother for the decent children, Hassan or Hussein. No.
Sheikh, just to, listening into what Sheikh was saying, is what was very important and pertinent is that Sheikh made it clear it is not for sexual gratification of the male. That is in the first place what polygamy should not be for.
Yes.
And it takes me back yet again to the historical context when it was revealed that there was dismal situation. It was after the Battle of Uhud. There were women that were in dire situations, the orphans, like Sheikh has explained in the beginning. And we can clearly see that because we as Muslims are very quick to always say what was the context so we can fully understand the verse and its meaning and application. Surely we should also look at polygamy in that way so that we avert this whole thing about it becoming a sexual gratification mission that a man goes on, because Islam, in my view, is a religion of modesty.
Yes.
And it is not to promote that at all.
And that's it's very correct. And if you look at the first period of time of the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was young man married old women. So he had a right to get. He said, no, my daddy gave me this woman. She was my cousin. You know, so got so many excuses to say we did not understand each other, the gap between the age and the age. But Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not go for that. In spite of that, polygamy was there in Quraysh, in Mecca. It was there. So no one will blame him if you go for second one, because so many people around him in the society got that. So it's not a regular thing. Number two, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his last portion of his age, he married who? Married a widow and what? I want to tell my viewers that women need a man, because in our community now, the single woman is not accepted. It's been accused. We suspect, hey, when she come late, she talk to that man. And very hard, when I get the email and we try to sort out this problem, the woman, when she become a widow, it's got a terrible psychological error. She's under attack, especially widow or divorce. Man is a shelter of the women. It's not about sexuality, it's not about that. It comes later. Plus, the rest of the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was not for that reason. Salama, radiallahu anha, she put condition for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to marry him. She said, no, I'm a jealousy woman. I have a children. I have no big family. And then I'm an old woman. Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your children are my children. I'm old like you. Come marry the shelter of the Prophet. And Sayyidah Sauda bin Zama, she just want that title to be the wife of Rasulullah in Jannah, and she want to be the mother of the believer. So there's so many reasons beside that, the other reason.
Sheikh, coming to the question, which in my research that I've come across as well, is a lot of men in general come with the argument, women outnumber men, that's why we should marry them. Surely, again, should we not look at countries worn-torn, where there are many widows, many orphans, and we should look at that number, because they are the ones that is in need of that protection.
Yes, very true.
And of course, the context once again comes up over and over again. Moving a little bit further, I would like to ask is, do we give enough consideration to the rights of the first wife? The way that it is, let us look at the reality of how it is practiced in today's times.
That's why I said to you, we put the second marriage in a very ugly way, because we're practicing wrong. We're practicing wrong and we do not fulfill. Number one, we don't educate the first wife that it is a Sharia, is not haram. We don't also teach the man that it's not an easy decision. We don't teach the other wife that she must consider that she came on the life of this. You cannot build your house by destroying the first house. We need to gain the two houses. So the first wife, what we can do, we said, do not allow your husband to marry before marriage. Hold him by anyhow. That is number one. Number two, if he married, it's Sharia. He did not do something wrong. You cannot force him to divorce his wife, as we see and we heard. You're shaking the arsh of Allah. You're committing a major sin. Number two, many of this, the wife, she lose iman because of her personal thing. Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not have that anger because of his personal thing. It was for the deen, for the purpose. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. You will never have a full iman till you to love for someone as you love for yourself. So if you have deen and iman, which I know it is there, but when we talk about the nature of the women, we need to educate women to take that one if it happen. And we teach the man that is not easy decision. It is a war and fight. If you are capable to do it, be good. When we talk about the women are more than the men and all that, that is not the only thing there. If you go to the chicken farms, you will find the male more than the male. If you go to the cattle and sheep, you will find the male more than the female. So it's there. The main things there for that polygamy, we call it, how come you go for the second wife while you have 3 children, baligh, you never help them to marry? Number 2, why you don't send your son to marry a widow or divorced woman? Why you run for the virgin one? That is also error in our mentality. If we try to encourage people to go for that, when we go to marry and say, is that widow? Oh no, my friend, you must go for a virgin one. You can't go for that second-hand one. They call it like that. That is also misunderstanding, because Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam married how many like this? If you claim that you follow the sunnah, you have to go for that. We have to educate the first wife, and we have to support. She got full right. If he's not equal, she can go and fight for herself, or she can make fasakh. That lady, Islam give her a full right to look for her right, that she must go for her right from that man. If she feel that is injustice, she can take him to task, she can take him to Islamic court, and she can also pull out. So she's not in jail. She's not being forced. She got so many options. But I want to tell you something. I have, some of our family have this one. It will never have a blessing of the first wife. I'm telling you now. And unless we get a salih one, the one who got the Jibalul Iman, the mountain of Iman. Aisha radiallahu anha, she cancelled one marriage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She went there and make it failure. They have that one. But by the end of the day, she means Sharia, and she targeting to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah, Ya Allah, place in our heart the iman of Sharia, inshallah.
Inshallah. Sheikh, coming to a different perspective altogether, in today's times, do you think that an ordinary man that wants to go and marry 2, 3 or 4 families, can he financially sustain all of them? Because it's a house, it's transport, and there's a lot more that we need to take into consideration.
When we talk about materialistic justice, it's very important. Is that the main reason is to cause him to marry or not? But when we talk about that maintenance and all that, nowadays there is no capability for men to go for that. And we're struggling with our own wife, to live now. Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was warning us about that era. Number 2, if you're unable to financially support this one, it is abuse. It is abuse. Plus, we have something, Adela, is something very lovely I want to tell. In Islam, there is nothing, it's called bitterness married. You marry this lady out of pity. You see, she's no homeless, she has no one. You know what? This lady will never be the madam of the house and the lady of the house. She will never be the queen of the house, because that man will use that one against her. He will suppress her. Someone married a disabled woman and this one, because no, we need to have a decent marriage, a proper marriage, a healthy marriage, equality on marriage. Men demand from the husband treat her as a queen in the house. So it is a main thing, that financial support.
Jazakallah, Sheikh. It's once again time for us to go to a break. Don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A warm welcome back to Muslima Insight. At this stage in the program, I would like to extend a warm welcome and assalamu alaikum to Sister Tawhida Domingo, a lady that is in a existing polygamous marriage. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam, and shukran for having me on your show.
Jazakallah, sister. I just would like to very quickly, before the break, Sheikh was mentioning with regards to the financial aspect in the home, and I just would like to emphasize to our viewers that I think what a lot of men perhaps overlook is the fact that when he takes on a second wife in today's time, and the reality of it is a second house, more transport, more food, more clothing, medical aid, education, and the list just goes on and on without even considering luxuries like cell phones and holidays. On that note, I would like to come to you, sister, can you share with us what led up to your husband entering into a polygamous marriage?
Okay, due to my husband's insatiable appetite, it was putting too much of stress onto me. So taking a second wife was one of the options instead of committing zina. So that was our reason. And our marriage was, we used to fight a lot. We used to fight a lot. And I think after taking a second wife, it sort of healed our relationship in that process.
So at the time, would you say that is what was suitable for you at that time?
Well, personally, I didn't think so. But as I started understanding and seeing the bigger picture, you may say, yes, it did. It actually healed our relationship.
Do you think that you were treated fairly at that time?
At that time, no, because I think I was more emotional, very hurt, felt very vulnerable. I felt I was betrayed, basically. You know, there's somebody else coming into your space. But like I said, I've learning about polygamy and understanding what Allah has put out for you and understanding my role as the first wife and stuff like that, I learned to educate myself. And I started seeing goodness and all the positiveness in that.
And considering it again at that time, obviously you have now moved on from the initial period. Would you say that your rights as a wife were upheld by whoever it is that you approached in that time? Your rights to dignity, to self-respect.
Yes, you know, it's. I must say, from then to now, I have grown in this whole thing. Initially, I won't say it's an easy journey for anybody. It's very painful. As a woman, Allah has made us with emotions. We tend to feel more with our heart than anything else. So at that time, I didn't think I was treated justly. I thought I was treated unjustly. But again, as you step out of a situation and you look into it and you see your rights as a woman and the things that you must do and the way, you know, like for example, I used to have a lot of emotional outbursts and my husband, alhamdulillah, with all of that, he would accept it and tolerate the way I used to behave just to comfort me. You know, he understood that the fact that I was hurting and I needed to have this emotional outburst. So I think it's a very difficult time, you know. So you tend to feel unjust.
Would you say that in your case in particular, your husband perhaps ventured down this road for the right reasons, as Sheikh has explained? Polygamy is in particular circumstances, under particular situations. Would you say that was, according to Sharia, the correct thing or the correct reason?
Well, quite honestly, no, not for the right reason. Because there was no suitable candidate at that time for my husband to take. There were a lot of women that wanted to marry, but not for the women that wanted to marry my husband wanted him to talaq me and for them to be the only wife. So the woman that he married, she's not a Muslim woman, she's a Christian woman, but she accepted the fact that she would be the second wife, and alhamdulillah, she hasn't tried to overthrow me as the first wife.
Oh, alhamdulillah. So. And then, sister, coming to your ecology, at that time, going back again in your history, is how did your family respond? How did they treat you? How do they look at you now?
Well, from my family, when I say my parents and siblings, I really never had any support from them about it. I don't think there was a day they would pick up the phone and say, "How are you feeling?" and "What is wrong?" or "Do you need something?" From my in-laws' side, they were there for me. If I needed them, they would support me. They were not for polygamy, but if I needed them, they were there. As friends, I made a lot of friends since my husband's taken a second wife, because I learned to talk about it. I learned to see that I'm not the problem. There's nothing wrong with me. So I started talking out about it and saying to people, my husband's got 2 wives and I'm the first wife. And it was a bit of a shock to people's system, because wow, you know, people look at you like there's something wrong. And I made a lot of friends that way, because like that, people started opening up and saying, you know, my cousin's wife is the first wife and she needs someone to talk to. So I've increased a social circle of women that need help and that need to talk. So we've become friends.
And I think you've touched on something that is very pertinent, is that what you've said, what is wrong with me?
Okay.
Because in the first instance, when a man, I mean, in your case it was something else, there wasn't already a mistress. He knew that there was a biological, let's call it a biological problem that he needed to sort out. If we take it from the perspective of women whose husbands go out and have affairs, the effect of polygamy then is even worse, because already it's the betrayal of your husband having an affair, and that type of thing. Sheikh, from your perspective?
As we said before the break, that the equality and the same dignity of the first wife must be there. Me and the many of the brothers who discussing that, we're discussing that when we marry the second marriage, must be on a legal way and a decent way. Because as I said, Nabi Muhammad refused for Aqidah. Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab stopped the Christian, the Muslim who married a Christian in his Khilafat, in his lifetime, because to solve the problem of our respected Muslim sisters. So in the time of Khilafat of Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, it's permissible for the Muslim to marry Ahlul Kitab, the people of the book. But because there is a social problem, there is a need of our, charity begins at home. So instead of solving the problem of someone else or some other faith, we have to come and solve that problem. The other thing, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as I said, reject that type of marriage because it's not equal and it's going to be a mark in the head and in mentality of the children that this woman was a naughty woman, was indecent woman like this. So I said to all the brothers and sisters, you must get the equality, you must get the same standard of your wife so that you have the dignity of the first wife. The dignity of the first wife based on the dignity of the second wife.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. Sister, from your side, what has your experience been so far?
Well, it's not an easy journey initially. It is a painful journey. It's you question. There's a lot of questioning. I mean, questioning yourself and even questioning your creator. What did I do wrong? And I mean, which is wrong, because personally,
there's nothing wrong with
there's
you.
Nothing. Yes, but again, we're only human, and we tend to question. But again, we need to educate ourselves. As Muslim women, we need to understand Sharia. We need to understand our rights as women. Because many women out there that don't know their rights and they don't know Sharia and they don't understand. So they just take whatever they get. So as a woman, I would like women to learn more about their deen and find out more. What is your right as a first wife? Because first wife and second wife has rights.
Has rights. And also what Sheikh has touched on, because we have you as a representative here today, and speaking about your difficulty, how much hurt you had, everything that you've been through, but yet the second wife we don't have here today. And like Sheikh has said, they are looked at as the naughty one, as the one that hijacked the marriage. And surely the social impact on their lives is also crucial to consider. What have you in the interim started to do to start making a difference in society?
Well, personally, I have started a support group for women in polygamous marriages. And it's not only for first wife, it is for second wives, because there's a lot of second wives out there that husband takes the third wife, and then she also feels what the first wife feels. So it's just a support group for women that's in polygamy to understand and to be able to talk to, where we meet and we discuss what are you feeling today? How are we going to deal with it? And we're going to find a solution forward. Because the first things today is the wife, the first wife wants a talak because she can't deal with it, because it's too painful. And the only way out is to leave her husband and to move on. And in that process, there's still children in that. And that's what we need to eliminate. Talak.
Jazakallah, sister. From what I understood, the sister has started a support group, and your contact details will appear on the screen as well. The sister can quickly give us where the sisters can contact you.
It's on my cell number at the moment. It's called the Gift of Support, and my number is 083 347 5968.
Jazakallah, sister, and Jazakallah once again to Sheikh for being here today and for being so brave to share your experience with us, and for obviously for Sheikh for all his
We wish for everyone to have a peaceful marriage. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to maintain our hearts. And my message to all men there who had a desire to have a second wife, think, and if you have that little fear, don't lose your iman for this temporary pleasure. Or if you want to marry for Allah, come and marry my aunties.
Jazakallah, Shaykh. Beautifully said. Once again, we've come to the end of today's program, and inshallah, may we all revisit the true reasons for polygamy, the circumstances in which it was revealed and given to us to help, to be as a garment to those who are weak and vulnerable in our societies. So let us practice it, like Shaykh has said, purely for the sake and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not for any lower desires or baser desires of our ego. On that note, from myself, Adila, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.